Hey everybody! Last week I posted a poll about which tune you would like to see a playthrough, and looks like we had a two-way tie between Grant's tune and the blues. So this week we're going to look at Grant's tune and some ways that we can play over those changes, and then next week we're going to look at the blues and do the exact same thing. Let's jump right in it. Okay, so Grant's tune is a song written by Grant Green that's off his album Solid, which is a really good album. You should check it out, by the way. At first glance, this song looks like it could be tricky to solo over, but if you have the right tools for the job, it actually becomes relatively easy. So the first section of this song goes back and forth between a two-chord vamp, that being C minor and D flat 7. As I've covered in previous videos, that D flat 7 is actually a tritone sub for G dominant 7. So essentially the chord vamp is 1, 5, 1 over and over again. Now that we know this, it gives us some options for how to solo over it. Over the C minor 7, we could play off C blues. Or we could use C Dorian with the natural 6 and the flat 7. Or we could use C minor diminished. All of these options work. However, the trick will be using it alongside our D flat 7 or G7. If you're using the C blues approach, then when you play over our dominant chord, you need to hit E flat, F, or G, which are all tones of our C blues scale. Here's an example. If you're approaching this using the Dorian mode, then you need to treat the dominant chord a little bit differently. I would use A flat melodic minor when soloing over our dominant chord, so that way you're only dealing with two sounds, C minor and A flat minor. Here are a couple examples using those two sounds. If you're using C minor diminished, you can actually use it over both the 1 and the 5 chord. However, the A natural and the D natural in this scale can sound a little bit weird over the D flat or G7. Make sure to watch my video about the major diminished scale to understand and get more info about this scale. But one way you could use it is that if you start on the tones E flat or A, you can just walk up the scale and it'll work over both those chords pretty well. It's a great tool to use as a transition between these two chords, or as just a way to add some more scalier language to your lines. Lastly, we can just ignore that C minor and play G7 flat 9 the whole time. You also need to have some 5-to-1 motifs that you can use to either end your lines or to begin or connect your lines. Here are a couple you should know. So at the end of the A sections, Grant uses this chord progression. This is just simply E flat major. So play any E flat major tonic language you have, or enclose chord tones of E flat major 7. Now the chords at the B section can be played a couple different ways. The chords are E flat, G flat over E flat, then back to E flat, and then finally D flat over E flat. It's not as weird as it looks. If you play these triads on the guitar with E flat in the bass, you'll start to see some familiar shapes. So the chords really are just E flat major, E flat minor 7, then back to E flat major, and then E flat sus9. You could treat these modally and play each sound over each chord, or you could just play E flat blues, and when you hit the minor 7 chord, just play the flat third, and then over all the other ones, play the major third. Here are examples of both ways. The trick is to be able to combine both of these approaches to sound really fluent over these changes. So really, this tune comes down to being able to play one kind of sound over an extended period of time, and also being able to play one sound over many different chord changes. I highly recommend that you shed this tune, as you can just play literally the blues over this whole tune, or you could hit every single change. You can make it as easy or as hard as you want to. I want to close this lesson with a chorus over Grant's tune that incorporates everything that we talked about in this lesson. I'll label when I'm using a certain approach over the chord changes. Thank you guys so much for watching this lesson about how to solo over Grant's tune. This is one of the many great tunes that Grant Green wrote and can be soloed over in a variety of different ways. If you like what I'm doing here on YouTube, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for more content in the future. Thanks again for watching, and remember to always keep swinging.